Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video, which is going to be a tag. I haven't done a tag in such a long time and I actually miss these style of videos. These are the videos that were super fun back when YouTube was really fun and there was no like drama this, drama that, Dramageddon, Armageddon, all these crazy things that honestly I can give a flying you guys know what. I'm excited for this tag, which is the palette tag 2.0, and this I actually was watching a Smoky Glow video. I don't know if you guys follow her. I think she's super cute. Her makeup I love when she gives her opinions, and I just love her videos in general. So I watched this on her channel and she was inspired from Samantha March, who was inspired by the TikTok trends, TikTok videos where they say, show your favorite palette, show your most used palette. And I love those videos on TikTok. So I was like, you know what? Let's do this tag. And I tag all of you guys. I will leave the questions down below and the palettes and my answers and all that info. I will leave it down below so you guys can do it as well. I will leave a few names of some of my friends that I want to do this tag because I'm a chismosa and I want to see you guys answer all these questions. So without any further ado, let's get started. Now we have question number 1, which is the newest palette. And you guys know me, I cannot just choose one palette for these tags. I'm going to try to make it as quick as I possibly can, but there will be more than one palettes in the answers, and I hope you guys are okay with that. If not, oh well. So the newest palette I think I have is this Profusion Starlit palette, which I recently bought at Walmart. I haven't even showed it in a haul. I recently just bought this. I also bought the 3 new tie-dye ColourPop palettes, which I will put a picture right here. Thank you, Airplane, for making your appearance on these videos. But this is another of the newest ones. I haven't even used it, anything. These 2 I showed them in my last haul, which are the e.l.f. x J Kissa palette, which I cannot wait to show you guys and use, do a tutorial. It is coming, I promise. And let's just show you guys the inside. Look at this beauty. Oh my gosh, this palette is gorgeous. I cannot wait to use it. I just have a lot going on right now, which is why I'm kind of slacking on the videos, but I promise as soon as everything's better, I will definitely get to it. And then the last one is a Too Faced Born This Way. So we have, what, 6 new palettes, and I need to get my my booty to filming these reviews and tutorials using these new palettes. This one I bought specifically for a dupe video. It's the Too Faced Born This Way Natural Eyes Natural Nudes palette. Gorgeous. So it's another of the newest ones. Question number 2, the oldest palette. Now I have 2 in this section, and one of these I'm just going to show it briefly because it's the actual oldest palette, which is this Too Faced Natural Eyes palette. Do you guys remember when these palettes came out? Yeah, this was my jam. Look at this palette. Clearly, I was in love with this palette. But yeah, quick little mention because it's the actual oldest palette that I have. And then the other one that is around, I would say the same oldness, is the Violet Voss Pro Holy Grail palette. Now you guys can see this is the original first one they launched. This was their first palette, first packaging. Now they have like thicker, nicer, like glossy, super pretty packaging, but I still love this one. This is my oldest one. You guys, look at this. It's all dirty, and look at the inside. This formula is amazing. I love Violet Voss eyeshadows. They're one of my favorites. I know I haven't used them in a while. I think since a palette that we got in our BoxyCharm from them. But I still love these. I obviously have like a connection with these palettes because they're so old. They're some of my favorites, which is why I don't throw them away. I have them as kind of keepsakes. I don't have very many palettes like that. This is probably my oldest keepsake and I don't really use them anymore. But to me, it's not worth giving them to anybody because they're old, so I just keep them for keepsake for myself. Number 3, we have most expensive palette, and I actually thought that my most expensive palette was this Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette, which is one of my favorite Huda Beauty palettes. I love her palettes. You guys know I've talked about them a lot. I have a lot of her palettes. Look at these colors. So beautiful. I love these colors. And this one retails for $67, which is why I thought it was my most expensive one. I don't own any Pat McGrath. Still on my mind if I can buy one, if I should buy one, you know, or like Natasha Denona. Those are like the most expensive ones that I think that are out there that are like super popular. But the one that is actually the most expensive one, or the next one, is this Violet Voss Ride or Die palette. And this one retails for $75. So it was pricey. Still is, but such an amazing palette. I mean, the packaging, you guys can see how holographic it is. The like cheetah leopard print, so cute. It's all over the palette. Look at that. And then we'll take a look inside and look at this. Look at these colors. This is probably one of the best like warm tones, but at the same time cool tone palette that I have. And that's out there on the market. Honestly, I feel like it has enough warm, enough cool tones, and the colors are just beautiful. Look at how that black has all that glitteriness, and it sparkles so beautifully. Clearly you guys can see the shadows I barely touch, which are these silver ones. They're just not my cup of tea, but I still wanted the palette because I loved it and I love their formula. Another thing I really liked about this palette is that all the eyeshadow names are girl names, so super cute. My favorite were definitely like Scarlett, Alice, Madeline, these 3 right here, and then down here we have Amy, which are my favorite colors, Sarah, Ashley, and so on. This is just such an amazing palette. For the price, I definitely still think it's worth it. If you're looking for a palette like this with a lot of warm tones and cool tones, perfect combination, this palette. Number 4, we have the most affordable palette, and I have to mention these because I was like, okay, this is more like a quad, but on here it says this palette delivers mini eye magic. So I was like, you know what? This is a palette. This is my most affordable palette at $3. These little palettes, $3. I have like 5 or 6 of them. They're actually really nice. I tried them out in a video. I will link it down below so you guys can check it out. But the formula is really nice. e.l.f. has really stepped up their game, and these palettes, I don't know how they make them so affordable and so good at the same time. $3. I don't have anything under $5. Everything is over 10. So these are definitely the most affordable ones and some of the most amazing palettes I have. Number 5, we have an everyday palette. Now for this one, I must share 2. The first one definitely has to be this one, Maybelline Nudes of New York, which I think I've bored you guys by the amount of times I've talked about it and recommended this palette. It's so good. This is one of my favorites and it's so good. I love it. I have this like brown look going on lately and I really like it. But you guys can see this has a little bit of everything. It has like some like a cooler brown, warmer browns, perfect transition shades, a lilac-y pinky transition shade, and then all those beautiful shimmery golds and like coppers. So pretty. This is just such a perfect palette, and it's so small, sleek, compact. Love it. Perfect everyday palette. And then the other one that I have been using a lot as an everyday palette, and I actually regret not using this before, is the Bare Necessities palette from ColourPop. This one is amazing. Again, it's the perfect combination of a neutral, warm and cool tone brown palette that I feel like is perfect if you don't like too many warm tones or too many cool tones. This has a little bit of both, all combined in this beautiful palette, which is perfect. My absolute favorite shade is this one right here called Spree, because it's that like matte formula with the shimmer little glitter flecks in it, like this brown over here, this one right there. It's one of my favorite eyeshadow formulas. I know a lot of people don't like it. I personally love it. It's my favorite, and this is such an amazing everyday palette. Now, question number 6 is most colorful palette. Now, this one I of course have a lot of rainbow palettes, and I have the James Charles palette, the dupe James Charles palette. So I have a lot of those rainbow palettes, but for me, I thought this was the most colorful in variety of colors, not just rainbow eyeshadows, different beautiful gorgeous palette colors, and it's from the brand Beauty Glaze, the Gorgeous Me palette. Looks like this. And then I love how you open this palette. It has little like 2 tabs, and you open it and look at all these colors. So this is definitely super colorful, not just rainbow, but all kinds of different colors. Like these right here, like this is a different hot pink than what's in the James Charles, or like this beautiful shade. These 3 down here are some of my favorites. Like it just has a variety of different colorful colors. And then we have this tab right here with a lot of like warm transition shades, and down here the other tab of deeper brown, cool and warm shades to deepen up the looks. This is just such a perfect palette, a beginner palette. I would say it is very pigmented. Some shades are powdery, but if you're looking for something where you don't want to spend a lot and you want a little bit of everything, this is a perfect palette. Now you can find this on King Beauty or on Amazon. I will leave links down below to all these palettes and everything I can find, all the info down below. Number 7 is the smallest palette. Now obviously these are the smallest palettes I own. I don't think there's anything smaller than this in my collection. But since we already mentioned these, I would like to share the next smallest palettes that I have. And that is the first one being from Huda Beauty. Now I have all 4 of these, the Obsessions palettes. This was their first like little smaller palettes, and I bought all 4 because I was just so in love with them, and I still like them. Look at how pretty. This one is the Electric Obsessions. Obviously I have the other 4. There's a smoky one, a warm one, and I think the other one is like, can't really remember, it's like a purple one or something like that. So this is the next smallest thing I have. Obviously these ColourPop are even bigger, which is why these are the smallest ones. And then just to mention this one, the Dose of Colors Blushing Berries is the next small one. This one's just long and like thin. And this is what this one looks like. Super, super pretty. And this one came in my BoxyCharm box. So thought I mentioned that one because it is another of the smallest one in my collection. Question number 8 is the Belleza palette, and the one I have is this one from Wet n Wild, which is the dupe for the James Charles palette, artistry palette or whatever it's called. I have the James Charles one. I feel like this one's a little bit bigger because it's wider. So let me show you. This is what this looks like. Literally a beautiful dupe to that palette. I did a dupe video. I will link it down below so you guys can check it out. See, you guys know I do like the tutorial side by side using the same colors at the same time in the tutorial, so you guys can see the difference and how they apply, how they blend and all that. But this is definitely the biggest that I have in my collection. Number 9 palette with the best memory, and that one definitely has to be this Too Faced Naturalized, which is why I only mentioned it very briefly in the first question or the second question. This one is my oldest palette that I have, and I've kept it for memories. This was probably, this actually was my first Too Faced palette, my first Too Faced product, my first high-end palette from Sephora, and I was like living my best life with my Too Faced palette. Clearly I was obsessed with these 3 eyeshadows. This is all I knew how to use back then when this palette came out. If you guys remember this little tab, it had like a little cheap brush right here. I lost it obviously, and I never threw this out. I saw a lot of people throw this out. I just always kept it in there. And then right here it had a little pamphlet of different eye looks and like a tutorial style of how you can follow using these eyeshadows. It has so many memories of like when everything first started for me with makeup and all that, which is why I keep this palette. My first palette I think was like an 88 palette. You know, everyone was buying off eBay those palettes, or the 120, but this was the best memory because like it was my first high-end palette per se when I was younger. So yeah. Question number 10 is palette that is worth the hype. And the first palette that came to my mind was this one, which is the Tati Beauty Volume 1 palette. And this is what it looks like, the packaging. This is also one of my absolute favorite palettes. And this row right here, what she calls is the sequin row, is my absolute favorite row in this. Obviously, I love the glitter one as well, but this is just, I love this one. Like I said, I know a lot of people don't like this formula, like the matte with the little glitter flecks. I personally love it. It's my absolute favorite. And yeah, this is a palette that I definitely feel is worth all the hype it has. It's an amazing formula. I felt like the price was perfect for the quality. This palette is actually heavy. It's small, but I can tell you it's heavier than this Wet n Wild palette that I have. I would say it's a pinch heavier than this Huda Beauty. So this is definitely worth the money in my opinion. I really like it. So this definitely palette that is worth the hype. Number 11, palette not worth the hype it has. And for me, it definitely has to be these Anastasia palettes. They're just not my cup of tea. I know a lot of people love them and they go crazy buying their palettes and the Norvina palettes. Those I can also say for me, they're not worth the hype. Just looking at the palettes, they just don't inspire me. Even though they have so many colors, to me it's just like, I don't really care for them, which is why I don't own any. But yeah, the Subculture clearly was one of the biggest palette fails in a long time, and I know a lot of people, this palette worked great for them. I was part of the bunch that it didn't. This palette is super patchy on the eyes. Correction, super patchy on my eyes. When I try to blend colors like together, combine colors, they just all end up like creating a ugly wash of color. And yeah, just I thought the color story was beautiful. I thought the makeup world needed this something different, and I just wish the formula would have been the same, you know. Would have been good and it would have worked good on my eyes, but it didn't. And then I have the Modern Renaissance. I mean, I love the color story again, which is why I bought this one. And you guys are going to think that those shadows that I've hit pan on is because I've used it so much. Nope. It's because whenever I put my brush in, they literally just break apart and the eyeshadows would fall out from both of those. So annoying. Absolutely annoying, which is why I kind of stopped using this, because every time I use it the fallout is insane. I've always told you guys I don't mind fallout, but this is next level fallout, to the point where do your eyes first and then clean up your whole under eyes and then clean up your whole palette, your whole table, because that's how much fallout there is, unless you know they crumble like these. So just, these are not my favorite. I don't think they're worth the hype. That's just my 2 cents on that. Question number 12, favorite palette from favorite brand. This one I would say is a little more difficult for me to choose, because my favorite brand of eyeshadow palettes is ColourPop. They have, let me show you guys. This will let you know how much of a favorite this brand is. This is just some of my ColourPop palette collection. I absolutely love this brand, and I can't choose a favorite just because I like all of them. The So Jaded definitely was one of the best ones, and one of my absolute favorites. And I think I've probably mentioned all of these palettes in a monthly favorites video once or twice, some even more than that, way over 5 times, which is the next one. But this definitely has to be one of my favorites, one of the best palettes that I've used from ColourPop. I really like it. I love the color story. I love the packaging, everything. My favorite palettes from them are these little 9 monochromatic palettes, 9 eyeshadow. I just said 9 eyeshadow palettes. and I really like these. These are some of my favorites. The one that I use the most that I really love is this Honey palette that I did my yellow monochromatic look. I will leave the video down below. I did drop this palette and all the eyeshadows popped out, and look, only like we didn't suffer that much, only a few little digs in the eyeshadows, but it wasn't nothing crazy, nothing like got destroyed. The mirror didn't break, and I dropped it off from my makeup table. But yeah, these are my absolute favorite palettes from ColourPop. I love the formula. I love how fun they are, how different, and how affordable they are. So these are pretty much all my favorites from ColourPop. I just can't choose one that's like my specific favorite. I just like them all. And finally, number 13, most used palette, and that would have to be this palette from ColourPop. Obviously, besides like my Too Faced palette that I used way back in the day, this ColourPop Cute AF palette has to be my most used and my most disgusting looking palette. Let me show you guys. How embarrassing, I know, but I have, again, the original first batch that came out before they changed the packaging, and I think they kind of reformulated when they changed the packaging. This, I feel like I like to buy the original palettes, the first palettes, even if the packaging is simple like this. Those have been the best. Like I did the same for the Huda Beauty palette, the Rose Gold. The first one that came out was my favorite. I never bought the remastered because it didn't have the best reviews, and I personally I liked the first one. So the same thing with this ColourPop Cute AF palette. I think they changed the name as well. Well, it's the Yes Please palette, but if you looked in the front, you thought it was a Cute AF palette. This is my favorite. It's my most used palette. I went ham on this palette, like ham and cheese and the whole sandwich, the whole torta, everything. This was my absolute favorite palette. I haven't used it in a long time, but I keep it because, again, it's one of my first palettes from ColourPop. This actually was my first palette from ColourPop, and I'm in love. So yeah, that's basically it for my palette tag. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will leave links down below to the Smoky Glow, to Samantha March. I will leave the questions. I want to see you guys do this tag. And yeah, I want to thank you guys for 4,700 subscribers. Thank you. Welcome to the channel if you're new. And we're so close to 5,000. Oh my gosh, I can't even believe it. Thank you guys for all your support. I appreciate you guys so much. And yeah, that's basically it. Thank you again. And like always, I will see you all in my next video. Bye.